22-year-old Oliver Huckerby found his life going in a downward spiral at an alarming rate. This was the span of 24 hours. The 22-year-old, who is from Hertfordshire, was said to have taken Class A white for the first time and then washed it down with glasses of wine while at a posh hotel in London. In a moment of absolute madness that lasted 2 minutes, Oliver was said to have bladed at least 3 staff members. They were both bouncers and also bartenders, with a broken piece of glass. He was jailed for 7 years, and in court his defence team says that scars will fade over time, referring to the victims. And please take into consideration that Oliver Huckerby had came from a good family and also had lost his nan, and this was out of character. Of course, Oliver also cried in court. When Oliver had taken the Class A substance, it did not agree with his stomach, and Oliver did not know how to ride that wave, because while he was a guest at the City of London Hotel, Oliver continued to take a couple of bumps. Now, Oliver was bladdered, and he was completely high. However, Oliver Huckerby wanted to party in affluent settings with his friends and also his girlfriend, so they set out to drink at the rooftop bar of the Royal Leonardo Hotel. However, when Oliver tried to enter the rooftop bar, a bouncer had stopped Oliver and told him, "I don't think so. You've had way too many drinks." Oliver put on a badman persona and tried to berate the bouncers. The bouncer then gave Oliver a countdown. Before the bouncer could get to 1, he had already been bladed. Now, the fact that Oliver was denied entry was said to have turned Oliver into some crazed individual. In a shocking burst of violence, Oliver was caught on CCTV. He took his glass and then smushed it into one bouncer's face. Oliver then bladed that same bouncer with a jagged glass in the head before turning on a second bouncer and also a member of the bar staff. In total, Oliver actually bladed 3 separate people whom were just doing their jobs. When Oliver turned around, he had the broken stem of the glass and then tried to blade a random member of the public. Now, Oliver's sister says that the broken stem of glass was not a weapon per se, in the lawful sense. However, he used it as a weapon. Now, the guest was not going to be a victim, however, so they and other members of staff had picked up pieces of furniture and even ornaments and also barricades and used those as self-defense items. Oliver, who worked in the building trade and at 22 years old, his defense team says that this was the first time that Oliver had ever tried to take Class A. Of course, he had felt pressure to do so, allegedly, and the substance did not react well with the young man, and his demeanour was totally out of character. In order to draw sympathy from the judge and the jury, it was also made public that Oliver had sadly lost his nan just the day before, and they were extremely close. Oliver even took care of his granddad too. Now, he had struggled with that loss, and it was profound, of a beloved family member, and chose to distract himself from the all-consuming grief by taking his girlfriend Brooke to the City of London Hotel on Godalming Street. Now, the two ate at the hotel that overlooked St Paul's Cathedral. Now, due to the grief, Oliver had too much to drink, bottles, and then they was joined by Brooke's friend Jess and also her boyfriend Lee. The court heard at one point Oliver excused himself from the table and went to the toilet, where he partook in taking Class A, while the group washed down the chalky taste with a bottle of wine, this being the 3rd bottle. Then Oliver, Brooke, Lee and Jess had arrived at the entrance of the rooftop hotel. However, security door staff described the couples as being visibly drunk, intoxicated, worse for wear. They were slurring their words and had to be propped up against the wall at one point, unsteady on their feet. Now, initially, in order to save any arguments or embarrassment, a bouncer by the name of Daniel Leslie had told Oliver and Cole were at full capacity, but Oliver did not take the hint, and he started to chime in and says that he still wanted to go in, so let me in. Now, Oliver raised his voice at the bouncer, getting closer to the bouncer until their two faces were almost touching, and then he began to shout in the bouncer's face. The bouncer tried to remain relaxed and actually gave Oliver a few seconds to calm down and told him, "You're all too drunk." That's when the bouncer began the countdown, because Oliver thought he was somebody else, and then he turned into a madman possessed. While counting down from 10, Oliver had taken a glass and then smushed the glass over Daniel Leslie's face before striking Daniel for a second time with a broken glass stem, making contact above the bouncer's left eyebrow. Now, the bouncer's face was dripping with red, and the bouncer had to take a step back. The incident was so outrageous that Daniel Leslie was said to have been out of work for 9 months after the incident, and it caused him severe debt issues. Now, Oliver Huckerby then turned towards the bartender, Kadar said, and then balled a hand in a fist around the broken stem glass, and then struck the bartender for no reason. The glass caught Kadar, and it caused a 6-centimeter wound to the left eyebrow. The wound was so deep that it had gone all the way down to the bone, to the skull. Kadar says that he was left out of work for 7 months, and unfortunately he can't return to the trade that he loved, so he's taken up a different job now. Now, after launching this incident on the bouncer and the bartender for no reason other than not being allowed in, Oliver then forced his way into the main bar area and looked for his next victim. Now, to be 100% blunt, Oliver did not care if they were a man or a woman, young or old, because Oliver swung the broken glass stem from left to right and left to right again, swinging in every direction. He spun, he pivoted, he darted across the bar, and in one instance, Oliver had only missed a customer by a few inches, but instead he bladed a security guard, Marcel Seeker, who was already on the phone to emergency services and had requested both ambulance and police. Now, the glass was embedded in Marcel's face where it still placed, and the wound was said to have been deep and jagged. A witness who was in the main bar area explained the aggression that Oliver Huckerby displayed and said it was like nothing that she had ever seen before. It was dangerous, out of this world, and he seemed unstoppable at one point. Now, it only stopped when a group of hotel staff managed to surround Oliver, and they had launched objects at the madman, which included furniture, ornaments, and barricades. Oliver actually climbed over the barricades and actually fled the scene with his girlfriend in tow, but he was apprehended by the City of London police in the street. Now, Oliver was arrested and then placed in handcuffs, but he was worse for wear, so police took Oliver to the hospital as a precaution. Now, during the hospital visit, there had been a delay in the CT scan being used, and Oliver did not like that, so he chucked water at the police officer and also berated hospital staff. Now, Oliver did admit to GBH, and in court, it again was put to the court that Oliver Huckerby was grieving after losing his grandmother a day before. It was also mentioned that Oliver had not ingested the Class A before, and this was a totally new experience for him, one that he deeply regretted after being pressured. His defense team also explained that Oliver's outbursts was 2 minutes of madness and entirely out of character. 2 minutes he can't even remember, but will affect him for the rest of his life. Now, the judge described Oliver as immature and petulant. Now, brazenly, Oliver's defense team asked the judge to please take into consideration Oliver's good character and nature, and they even saw him acting as a carer for his granddad now. The solicitor also says that while the incident was bad, scars can fade over time. Forgetting for a moment or dismissing for a moment that if hotel staff did not stop Oliver, he could have injured more innocent people, or worse, killed the bouncer and the bartender. Now, the judge saw fit to sentence Oliver to 7 years in jail. This was after the judge admitted that the incident was out of character for Oliver, and the judge says that they did appreciate that character statements had come from the mom, girlfriend, and other family members. When Oliver heard the jail sentence and heard the fact that he was being sentenced to 7 years behind bars, Oliver Huckerby was said to have cried and sobbed and wailed. Does the crime match the sentence? Let me know. Stay safe.